Welcome, everyone, to the San Marcos City Council meeting for February 24th. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Deputy Mayor, could you please lead us?
My pleasure. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I have a quick invocation. Lord God, we thank you for our beautiful city of San Marcos. We thank you for everyone that every day comes forward and gives their time and treasure to help volunteer for our community. We thank you for each one of us that is willing to serve, and even up on this dais, and we pray that you would help us temper our ideas and our thoughts toward one another, and remember that we are here for the common good of our beloved San Marcos. We pray all of these things in your name. Amen. Okay, could I please have the roll call, Mr. Skolick?
Yeah. Councilmember LeBlanc,
Present.
Councilmember Musgrove,
Here.
Councilmember Nunez,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sanella,
Here.
and Mayor Jones.
Here. Okay, we have under proclamations and presentations just one item this evening, and that is the Clean Energy Alliance presentation. Welcome, Mr. I can't remember, is it Wade?
Wade.
Yeah, Wade,
W-A-D-E, yeah.
sorry. We met a long time ago. I haven't seen you in a few years. It's great to see you. And Councilmember Nunez is a member of the board, so we look forward to hearing from you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Jones, members of the council, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Councilmember Nunez for her participation on our board, and I'll try to be brief. My name's Greg Wade, as you just said, and oh, by the way, good to see you, Councilmember Musgrove.
As well, thank you.
Thank you for your service to the CEA board for many years. So I'm just going to go through some of the key points that I wanted to bring to your attention, specifically just a little background where we are currently with enrollment, and then everybody loves to talk about rates, so I'm here to talk about rates. First of all, our priorities as a community choice aggregation is to provide local choice, local control, reduce our GHG emissions, help our member agencies achieve the goals and implementation of their climate action plans, and to achieve 100% renewable energy by 2035. We have 3 product offerings, speaking of choice. Those are a 50% renewable product called Clean Impact. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get into rates. Clean Impact Plus, that's our default product into which all customers are enrolled when they join CEA. And then Green Impact is the 100% renewable product that agencies, residents, businesses can choose to opt up into, and that's sourced by 100% renewable resources. There you can see the breakdown in customer accounts. We now serve just over 256,000 customer accounts, and I'll show you the breakdown of how those accounts are allocated, commercial and residential. This shows you the number of accounts for each city. You can see there San Marcos is highlighted, and you can see the breakdown in the default Clean Impact Plus product and the 93% participation rate in CEA. One thing to note here is we see the difference in the Green Impact 100% renewable. It's my understanding that the city of San Marcos is in discussions about whether or not to opt up its municipal accounts. I will say that the reason you see the high numbers in the cities of Solana Beach, Solana Beach, Vista, Del Mar, and Carlsbad are by virtue of the fact that they've opted up their municipal accounts to 100% Green Impact as part of their climate action plan implementations. This is an interesting slide to look at, and you can see the breakdown in residential and commercial. Not surprisingly, the largest amount of our customer accounts are in residential, 225,158. Despite that, 62% of the load that we serve is for commercial. Obviously, the commercial properties and customers use the most energy. And you can see that on the net energy metering side, and you are to be complimented on your residents for achieving the highest percentage of solar absorption in all our member agencies at 31%. I think it's a pretty high percentage to say that about 23% of all our customer accounts are enrolled in the net energy metering program, which is great. It really shows in our demand load profile when you look at it. The big drop in the middle of the day that you see in the demand curve for energy is primarily by virtue of all the people in our service area that use solar. So good thing to see, and it's interesting to note that San Marcos, as I said, is leading the way in our member agencies there. Some of the things I want to talk about in terms of the ability to save some costs and also contribute to the reduction in GHG emissions, as well as to up the numbers of customers who have access to solar and battery storage for their homes and businesses. The first program I want to announce, well, not announce, it's been on the books for about a year. It started as a pilot program. It's a demand response program, Peak Smart Savers. And what it does is people who enroll in this program are given up to 30% decrease on their rates just on the generation side. And here it's important to note that we, as the load-serving entity, provide just the commodity. That is the electricity and the renewable and carbon-free and other resource to the grid. It's our incumbent IOU, investor-owned utility, SDG&E. It still is in charge of delivery and transmission. They are as I said, the incumbent IOU. We are not in the business of transmission and delivery. We just focus on the energy side of the bill. So on those rates, customers can save up to 30% by enrolling in this program, in exchange for which, during peak smart event days, which we can call up to 18 of those, we're encouraging customers that are on that program, well, we encourage all customers to reduce their usage during 4 to 9 p.m. That's the high peak demand time of the day. It's when rates are the most expensive. It's a good idea to try to avoid that peak time. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's when I have to use energy. It's when we get home. It's when we do our laundry and whatnot. But in exchange for that 30% reduction on generation rates, when we call those events, when we know there's going to be a hot summer day where everybody's going to be using their air conditioning or using energy, we'll call that event. And if they do use energy during 4 to 9 p.m., there's a $1.10 adder. And so that's sort of an incentive or a disincentive to use energy during that time. The way we've set up the program is it's kind of a no-lose situation in this pilot program. Right now, customers, if they're enrolled in it, we do a true-up at the end of the year. We evaluate whether or not the customer would have saved money by being in the program. If not, we credit the customer back the money that they would have otherwise had to spend. So it's really a no-lose proposition. We're trying to encourage people to enroll in that so we can track how well these demand response programs work, whether customers do respond to these event days that we notify through email and through blasts on your cell phone. So that's a program that we've extended for another 12 months, the pilot side of that, and there's still the refunding the difference at the end of that year. Another program is a Solar Plus program, wherein we provide battery and solar to residential customers in single-family homes for no upfront costs, with no credit checks, so it's an easier process to get enrolled in this program. There's no operational maintenance or maintenance costs, and we currently offer both Tesla products. We're working on expanding that to other non-Tesla products because there's a lot of market out there and demand for other suppliers. And then we have two pricing structures where you can pay for the system and all on your bill, or you can pay a flat rate for that battery and then a per kilowatt hour rate for the solar system. We offer the choice to our customers. And so that's a program that offers you discounts over the year. You have a flat rate, so the fluctuation in rates that you typically see with peak time of use rates in summer and winter don't happen. We implemented, at the request of our Community Advisory Committee and others on our board, a battery bonus program. So that's offered to people who already have solar. There's a lot of them out there who could benefit from having battery storage. This is particularly important for solar customers who are not in the original NEM 1.0 structure, where you get a better credit for your surplus generation. This is important to provide battery backup for customers so they can use the battery during those peak times, or they can use it should there be discontinuation of power for any reason. Just to show you the stats on our Battery Plus and Battery Bonus programs rather, you can see there we have 34 applications in the Solar Plus Connect, 29 in Solar Plus, and 55 in Battery Bonus Connect. I mentioned Connect because that is a program that is directly targeting income-eligible customers, and it's done through the self-generation incentive program that the state offers. and we were able to secure over $2 million in funding, or sorry, $1 million in funding, sorry, $1 million in funding on battery, $970,000 on the Solar Plus, so over $2 million in funding for customers throughout the service territory. And you can see in San Marcos that amounted to over $250,000 of state funding for those battery and Solar Plus battery systems. We have recently gotten approved by our board a Solar Plus business. This expands on the residential programs to provide Solar Plus battery to our businesses. That includes, rather it should be non-residential, that includes governmental and institutional uses. We are working with our member agencies to look at how we can facilitate not only solar, which a lot of, for example, our school districts have, but battery support for commercial users. So that program has just been approved, and we are beginning to implement it in the coming weeks here. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have that 100% renewable product. We like to provide recognition for our customers who opt up to 100% green impact. We call them the Green Impact Champions. For businesses that do this, we provide notification on our website. We provide other support in social media so that they're recognized for contributing by opting up their accounts to Green Impact. So on to rates. Every year, the investor-owned utilities, including SDG&E, go through what's called an Energy Resource and Recovery Account process, ERA process, where they set rates for the following year, as well as what's known as the Power Charge and Difference Adjustment. It's often referred to as an exit fee. It's commonly known for customers who depart the load that SDG&E used to serve, come join a CCA like CEA, and they pay this Power Charge and Difference Adjustment, PCIA. The ERA forecast for last year saw a dramatic increase in PCIA for customers, not just in SDG&E territory, but across the state. This happened for a variety of reasons, one of which was regulatory. The PUC last spring, coming into the summer, made a decision to change the methodology for how the market price benchmark for that factors into the PCIA is calculated, and that had the impact of driving up the PCIA to some degree. The other thing that contributed to it was, ironically, the dramatic fall in prices of renewable energy and resource adequacy. Resource adequacy, think of that as your backup power supply that every load-serving entity needs to provide. We have to provide energy to meet our load demand, and then we have a planning reserve margin, it's called, of 18% beyond that peak load demand. And we have to have that procured as a load-serving entity. That's the resource adequacy, where we have demand met on those days where we we exceed the peak demand and we need backup power. The market price benchmark factors into that, because as the market value of an IOU's portfolio goes down and the actual cost of their portfolio is set, if the market price comes down, the difference of that is the indifference amount, and if it's positive, that means you pay a higher PCIA. Last year, all of the PCIAs in our service territory were negative because the prior year, the market value of the portfolio was much higher than the cost that they'd paid. So they were in the money, so to speak. So that has happened to the extent that our PCIAs for all our member agencies, and we have 4 different PCIAs, have increased an average of 4.8 cents this year. That is factored into how we adjust our rates, because we have our set rate for the commodity, we add the PCIA, and we try to be competitive with SDG&E's rates. And we do this by comparing ourselves to SDG&E on a monthly basis. So as I mentioned, all the PCIAs went from negative to positive, and in order for us to try to remain competitive, we had to look at options, and the board did so in the last months of the year of 2025, and adopted this, what I'm about to show you, in January last month. So had they not made this adjustment to offer to our customers, as you'll see, all of the customers in our territory would have been on a monthly average basis paying more than SDG&E's similar bundled customers. So what we did is we came up with an option for rate relief where what we wanted to do was to offer a product, the Clean Impact product, at a rate that would be at or below the monthly average cost of an SDG&E customer. So we came up with a rate relief credit for the residential customers as well as the non-residential customers. So in the residential side, you'd receive a 3.8771 cents per kilowatt hour credit. And on the non-residential, you'd receive a 2.657 cent per kilowatt hour credit, all of which is tailored to offset that huge increase in PCIA. We set those credits to the vintage 2020 year, which has the highest PCIA. So right now, all our customers are primarily, or most of them, enrolled in the Clean Impact Plus. This would apply only to the Clean Impact product. And right now, we're embarking upon, which I'll show you later, an outreach program to advise people of this ability to save money or be unaffected by this PCIA increase. It's a pilot program. We're going to do this for the 11 months remaining of the year. It went into effect on February 1st. And it is available to those customers already enrolled in the Clean Impact product or those who choose to opt down to that 50% renewable product. We will assess what that looks like as the year goes on to see how many people choose to opt down, as well as the ERA forecast for next year to see how much of a credit, if we continue this, we need to apply based on what the PCIAs turn out to be in 2027. So this looks much like what we have to provide on an annual basis. Anytime rates change, we have to do what's called a joint rate comparison with the investor-owned utility SDG&E. This shows that for residential customers using an average of 361 kilowatt hours per month, by employing this, for the 2020, this is your vintage, 2022, by employing this credit, you'd see in the green highlighted area, a customer would pay about $172 a month compared to SDG&E's $174.25 on the far right. Keeping in mind that one of the key objectives of a CCA is to provide more renewable energy. That 50% renewable compares to SDG's 41.4%. And then you can see for those customers in the Clean Impact Plus and Green Impact, they would still be paying a premium. And you can see in the bottom table what those premiums are per month on average. And then again, on the far left, you see the savings for residential, small commercial, and agricultural. So for the small commercial and agricultural customers, you can see the savings are approximately $6.37 a month and $6.40 a month, respectively. Now, again, this is a proactive program. We elected to do it this way because we looked at several rate decrease options, and if we did an across-the-board rate decrease of even up to 5%, that still wouldn't have gotten us to parity or better against SDG&E, and it would have been exceedingly expensive. One of the things that we're trying to do as a new up-and-coming CCA is not only be competitive with the incumbent IOU, but primarily establish ourselves financially and get to a point where we're fiscally solvent enough to attract a credit rating from a credit agency. We are targeting that to happen in the next 2 years, and by implementing the program that we've just outlined, or I've just outlined, we still are on target to be credit-worthy within those 2 years. This shows the cost impacts, making various assumptions as to what the opt-down population might be. And so we made an assumption that if 30,000 customers on the residential side opted down, and 20% of customers in every other non-residential rate class were to opt down, the cost impact to CEA would be roughly $10.6 million. One thing I wanted to add is you see at the bottom this agricultural rate. When we were doing this cost comparison, we noticed that ag rates were basically out of whack with our rate structure. So in addition to this rate relief credit that we implemented, the board also saw fit to reduce the agricultural rates by just under 7%, so that even ag customers, and there's only 291 of them throughout our entire service territory, but even ag customers have the ability to opt into a rate class that would save them money or be no worse off than if they were a bundled customer with SDG&E. As I mentioned earlier, we have a communication strategy. Actually, just today, we mailed out flyers and social media blasts to our board members, to our CAC members, that provide information to customers about how they can save money. And one of the ways is to take advantage of this rate relief credit. We will be engaging in social media outreach as well on our own. And we'll also be hosting webinars to specified target groups, going out to CBOs and other nonprofit organizations, as well as housing organizations, to let them know about this option so that they have the ability to save some money for this next year and maybe beyond that. I would also mention that there are other programs, in addition to this rate relief credit, that customers can take advantage of right now. As I mentioned, the opting down to the 50%, this rate relief credit. Our Peak Smart Savers program is a good way to save money. And even if it turns out that you don't, you'll get your money back. Our battery Solar Plus and battery bonus programs. And then on the SDG&E side, and they're, of course, our partner as our delivery IOU, there's the CARE program, California Alternative Rates for Energy, the Family Electric Assistance, or FARA program. There's a medical baseline program. There's an arrearage management plan for people who are behind on their bill. They can contact SDG&E and set up a plan to make up that deficit in their bill payments. And then there's a level pay program where you can enroll in this program to set a flat rate over the course of time. And those are programs that exist today. We encourage people to take advantage of them. They're available not only to SDG&E bundled customers, but to CEA customers as well. And then from the state level, if anyone's interested in building efficiency, green building implementation, there's a Go Green financing platform that allows you to do on-bill financing of these kinds of energy programs at sometimes zero interest rates. So it's a really good program for those who would like to do that. I think I took way more than 7 minutes, but that's the presentation, and thank you again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. So it says now that on slide 17 that all CEA customers are automatically enrolled into the Clean Impact Plus, but I think that was also since its inception, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then, so and are there any cities in the county that are not a member of any community choice aggregate, which is another word for CCA?
Yes, there are. Those cities, there's I think 4 of them, maybe 5. Do you want to know who they are?
Okay. No, that's fine. And then where does the rate relief money come from?
From CEA's reserves. Basically, we've generated reserves through customer payments. We're getting our financial bearing, as well as interest earned on that. That's where the money we typically use is the interest earnings. And so it's coming from ratepayers. So it's basically a credit back from the ratepayers to themselves.
And so what you're recommending, based on if you want to change, that there will be about 30,000 customers to opt down to the Clean Impact, which is the 50% renewable, which is just the difference of the 75% carbon-free, which you automatically were opted into when you first signed up.
Correct.
And that will be basically subsidized by all of the dollars that have been paid in thus far and any interest on those actual rates.
That's correct.
And then, okay, I don't know if anyone else has any questions. Those are all, I had one more, but I can't find it in my notes, so I'll look for it. Yes, go ahead, Deputy.
Great, good seeing you again, and thanks for the presentation, very helpful. Just want to make sure, there's a lot of information here, and it can be confusing. And I know if it's confusing for us, it's probably confusing for a lot of people out there. And so looking at kind of your charts here, San Marcos, you have roughly 35,000 of customers that are in the Clean Impact Plus. That's overwhelmingly the majority. And so then taking that information and looking at your rate relief impact slide, it says that's the 2022 vintage average monthly bill, and I understand that the vintage of 2022 is when San Marcos entered into the agreement with CAA, but you mentioned you compare the rates for the average residential household and compare it with what it would be if it was with SDG&E, but are these rates that you presented here on page 18, are these the current rates, or are these the rates for next year? What's
These are
that?
current. These are right now,
Okay.
effective February 1.
Okay. And so we've been getting updates from our board representative that rates are going to go up. Does this reflect an increase from prior year, or will there be rate increases in the following year? Because your presentation sounded great. Everything was, oh, it's going to be less, right? And so, but it doesn't sound consistent with what we've been hearing at our council meetings.
Yes, I appreciate the question. I probably glossed over it and shouldn't have. Rates are going up in general on the transmission and delivery side. So SDG&E has increased their transmission and delivery rates as well. So everybody, we pay those as well. CEA customers pay delivery rates or costs. So all rates are going up by virtue of those increases. And if a customer in CEA territory doesn't choose to take advantage of the 50% option, their rates are going up as well by virtue of the PCIA. Our rates on the commodity are not changing. CEA is not changing its rates. We already have our set rates. The challenge we have is that we factor in the PCIA to our overall monthly payment, and it's that PCIA dramatic increase of 4.8 cents on average per kilowatt hour. That's why we have to take steps like this. And I will say it's not unique to CEA. CEAs across the state are doing this, and it's just something we're adapting to.
Okay.
Hopefully that
So
didn't confuse the issue.
And I'm a little bit familiar with the pass-through from other entities with my prior experience at Vallecillos Water District, and a lot of our rates were dependent on what the water authority gave to us, right? And so it sounds similar. You're passing through some increases that SDG&E is putting onto you.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah,
okay.
That's one way to look at it.
And then, so I think at the end of the day, though, for our customers, what can they anticipate from an average? I know it's tough to do averages because everybody's use of energy is a little bit differently, and some have solar and some don't. But if we get questions all the time, like about energy costs going up, gasoline going up, food prices going up, and so what would you advise us as city leaders to communicate to our constituents as to what to expect in the next 12 months for energy prices?
That's a great question. I would say overall, in general, going beyond 12 months, you can look for energy costs, including electricity, to continue to go up. What I will say is that on the renewable side, what we've seen over the last 2 years is a decrease in energy prices on the renewable energy market as well as the resource adequacy market. Again, the irony there is, while that's good when we go out into the market to buy that resource, to pass along to our customers and provide that resource, the market price of that coming down has the alternative effect of driving up the PCIA, because then the incumbent IOUs who are sitting on these portfolios that are no longer higher value than the market price, they're gonna pass that cost on to the departed load. So that's the challenge. But I will say that by and large, energy prices are continuing to go up. Probably not extremely high, but they're going to continue to go up. And on the delivery side, I can't really speak to that. That's an SDG&E question. But as I mentioned, this year SDG&E has increased its delivery rates and its bundled generation rate.
Okay. No guess of 5%, 10%?
I wouldn't say it's in that ballpark, but I would say that this year, we're fixed for this year. We're not going to change our rates. So there may be, SDG&E is working right now on changing some rates because they're looking at expanding, if you're familiar with the time of use periods that they have, they're looking at expanding the super off-peak time of year. Right now, super off-peak rates only apply in March and April. They're looking at extending those 2 more months. And by virtue of doing that, they're going to have to adjust their rates as well. So SDG&E routinely makes sort of mid-year adjustments on their rates, and we have to respond. We typically like to provide as a benefit, if you will, rate stability, so a customer can know that what its rates will be. But we'll have to monitor that to see what kind of impacts it has to our customers.
All right, thank you, Greg, appreciate it.
And just kind of a follow-up on that, the rise in energy costs overall, is it because there's a restricted market, there's not enough renewables? Because it is renewable energy that we are using at 50% of our, at that lower tier, which, no, I can't find it. The clean impact.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that, do you think that's why the reason is, or, I mean, what do you think?
There's a lot of reasons, and I think it is the market. It's an excellent question. The market, there is a market demand for renewables. One of the key constraints right now is grid interconnection to the grid. There are a lot of the California Independent System Operator, CAISO, is in charge of approving interconnections at a utility scale for projects in the state. There's a backlog of projects that are potentially financed and ready to go that are awaiting that review and interconnection process. It's a lengthy process. At times, it requires upgrades to the grid that must be funded either by an IOU or by the energy developer. That backlog is creating a greater demand for renewable or any energy, really. And so that's one issue. And then just at the local level, there's interconnection upgrades that need to be facilitated to allow some of that energy to continue to flow. And of course, if those interconnection upgrades are performed by the investor-owned utility, there's a guaranteed rate of return on those infrastructure projects. So that it addresses the problem of getting more projects, more capacity, more energy projects built and flowing into the grid, but then that delivery cost and transmission cost can tend to go up. So there's a number of reasons. I will say that, again, the irony here is that what we've seen over the last 2 years is a decrease in cost for renewable energy in the market, as well as a decrease in cost for resource adequacy, which skyrocketed in about 2024. So it's available, it's out there, and we're working with our counterparties, including SDG&E, to make sure that we have that resource available. It's a combination of factors, and it's just the trend lines show that the prices, until we have all these prices or these projects getting built, the infrastructure upgrades getting implemented, until that time, there's going to be a steady sort of pressure on the all-in cost to a customer.
So am I hearing you correctly when you say that there's more actual projects built, they're just not really connected to the grid and...
They're not built. They're not built. They're waiting for interconnection approval, and then part of that process.
Interconnection approval. Okay, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant connection. Well, in my opinion, I mean, and this has nothing to do with you, but it's actually poor planning that we have all these goals that we're setting. That and the reason that we did switch over, which is to meet our greenhouse gas reductions that are required by the state. To have all of these goals that we can't actually, meet is a little frustrating for people like us, because it's our residents and everyone's residents that are getting hurt by this. Because again, you get the default of the, and now I forget what it is again, the Clean Impact Plus versus the Clean Impact. Who knew, I guess, and I wouldn't say that's necessarily an issue that we could see coming, but it's very frustrating that there is a need and a want to actually add these projects, and then yet we've got government always getting in the way of actually getting them connected and approved and all of that. So it's very frustrating. So anyway, I guess I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but I thought you were going to say, Councilmember Musgrove? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Greg. Good seeing you.
You too.
Just to clarify a couple of issues, because great presentation. I'm cursed by some of the knowledge. So when you talk about resource adequacy, am I correct? This is what the state requires us as a CCA to maintain under contract as an offset to that point where we might run into a situation where there's a brownout. Then we have to have contracts in place so we can pump power back into the statewide grid, not necessarily for our customers, but to ensure that the state itself maintains.
That's correct, to maintain grid reliability.
Right,
yes.
so we have to pay for that, but we're not alone in doing that either.
No.
Okay, and the PCIA, let me ask that one last, because that's probably a longer answer. I think it's really important to note on that line, on this particular slide, when you look at the second row, and you go to the right, that SDG&E maintains the minimum renewable that the state requires, and that's showing 41.4%. The minimum the CCAs and clean energy uses is 50%. So you're comparing a Granny Smith with a crabapple, and SDG&E being a crabapple. They're going to continue to rise when they have to raise their rate of renewables. So if you're going to compare them, you can't really do it right now, but you have to understand that 172.09 versus 174.25 at almost 10% higher renewable rates, still cheaper. And at some point, SDG&E will come up to parity and continue to climb with us at an accelerated rate. And that's just the nature of doing business.
Yeah,
They've
and just,
set that.
I'm sorry, just to underscore that, by 2060, they'll have to be at 60%. All
Yes.
of us will be.
And so, while it may look like... well,
2030,
what-
what did I say, 2030?
You did, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It can be a little misleading if you just look at the raw numbers. You have to understand why SDG&E is at that point. It's to maintain a lower price point. They have investors they need to return a profit, and if they lose too many customers, well, there you go. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the PCIA and the end life of some of those contracts. The last time you and I spoke, we were looking at some of them being close. Was there ever any support from the CPUC to open those books so we can actually see when those contracts were let and when they come to their termination point?
That's a great question. There hasn't been a point at which they've opened those books, and I will say that there is some opacity there with how they generate those rates and calculate those rates. That's been a frustration of ours as well as CalCCA, our trade organization. And there is actually now a piece of legislation that's being floated right now, and Assemblyperson Rogers up in the Northern California area, I believe it's 1761, and it's a transparency bill that is aimed at getting the investor-owned utilities to make those calculations that would affect rates available to the public, at least on a limited basis, so that we can have insight. And, you know, again, SDG&E is our partner, and up in the central area of California, SoCal Edison is partners to CCA. Up in Northern California, PG&E is partners to CCA. And what this is intended is to work with our partners to make sure that we're calculating these things correctly. So that's the effort of that bill. We'll see where it goes. But until that bill gets, if it does get through the process and get signed by the governor, we don't expect to see that kind of transparency, but right now it's made its way into a piece of legislation.
I noticed that the city and county of San Francisco are considering buying at least a portion of PG&E to maintain some local control over the power. That would be interesting to see how that affects. It will be a domino effect. It will affect all of us in the statewide grid.
And if I may, I appreciated, Mayor Jones, your comments. I mean, there are frustrations for sure. Our clean impact product at 75% carbon-free, so it's 50% renewable. The extra 25 is carbon-free. It's one of the highest default carbon-free products of any CCA in the state. The founding board members were more interested in having that higher carbon-free product in their offerings. I will say that the city of Encinitas, who's a member of San Diego Community Power, entered their CCA with a 100% default product. It's sort of antithetical to go around and try to encourage people to opt down for that reason. I think you were alluding to the fact that we have these climate action plan goals that we want to achieve. I will say that if you are a member of a CCA, you're meeting your goals already on the electricity side, so that's the good news. And our interest is in running this as a pilot, see where we land, and continue to, as Councilmember Musgrove mentioned, the RPS, Renewable Portfolio Standard, continues to increase to 2030 to 60%. So we're going to have to increase it anyway, but I hear your frustration, and we share that.
Just so everybody knows, I was on the board when we stole Greg away from Solana Beach. He was city manager and was there on the initial Solana Beach Power program that goes back
2017,
Yeah.
2016.
So almost a decade ago. And so his expertise has been on managing that at the local level. And sitting behind you is Rob Howard, who is a regional acknowledged expert in this field. So good seeing you too, Rob.
And I would thank you for introducing Rob, wherever he is, but I would encourage you, if any of you have a question about this, contact Rob.
Thank you very much,
All
Greg.
right, any other discussion?
I just want to say thank you for being here. Great information for us and for our residents. I know it's a lot and it can be confusing and daunting, but really valuable. So thank you for taking the time to be here. I also want to just say that as a board, I think we were very grateful, the thoughtfulness that went into the raid relief impact, because I know the increase in the rates is a concern for not only residents in San Marcos, but a lot of the other residents that we serve. And so thank you for all that work and for being here.
Thank you.
One last question. What is the process if people want to opt down? What would that?
It's as easy as going to the website. You can, there's a button for rates. You go to rates, and then you can opt down, as easy as going to that. Or you can call our customer service line. I didn't have the number with me. Rob probably does. And they can walk you through it on the phone. It's really easy to do it online. I know that not everybody goes online, but our customer service, you have that, Rob?
If you do it online, Mayor, you need your account number.
You need
for
your
Mr.
account
Eugenie.
number. That's the other thing. You need your account number to opt down, so it's always easier to call. Oh, thanks. 833-232-3110.
And your website is?
Our website is a mouthful. www.thecleanenergyalliance.org.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. We do have one item that needs a tad bit of clarification. That is item number 7, Resolution 2026-9546. Just that is a $19 an hour increase. Just wanted to clarify that. And then other than that, do I have any motions or any items that anyone wishes to pull off the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Hearing none? By the way, I thought I forgot to say something. Councilmember LeBlanc, her area looks a little bit different. She's still recouping from back surgery, so we're excited that she's here this evening. But she's just got a little something going different, if you're wondering what that is. Anyway, she's doing better. So we have, then moving on to, oral communications. We have John Mosier, followed by Natalie Aguilar, then followed by Marlene Walter. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff. For the record, I'm John Mosier with San Marcos Mobile Home Residents Association and also San Marcos Mobile Estates. One thing I wanted to bring up is I've reached out to Ed and Damien with our traffic division. We've been trying to slow down, get a lower speed limit in front of our community. And over the years, what they've done is they've highlighted that it's a senior area to slow down. They've adjusted for crosswalk for turn-in ever since they added that on-ramp on Barham to get on to 78 headed east and just before the 15 interconnect. Right at the bottom of our hill at La Marais and Barham, you got a 45-mile-per-hour sign, and yet barely halfway up the hill, there's one that says, caution seniors, 35 mile an hour. And then there's a sign right after that says, be prepared to stop, so people turning in can actually get in safely. Then over the hill from that, before the next development, there's a 40-mile-an-hour sign. So originally, I asked Ed to look at changing us to 40 mile an hour from La Marais up. And I noticed coming home from one of our city council meetings a few weeks ago, going back on Discovery and then crossing Twin Oaks, getting onto Barham and going past the university, is Discovery is at a 40 mile an hour, both sides. And once you get to that intersection of Twin Oaks and Barham, you can see right there, it starts at a 45-mile-an-hour sign. And then it continues on past the university, and then it switches back to 40 mile an hour where Barham exits the freeway, and goes down to Grace Church, and then it goes back to 45 again. The reason I'm bringing it up is because those speed limits were years ago when none of that stuff was built. It was even there before the university was there. Now, if you hit the university, you start running into stops repeatedly. And you basically can't get past North City without stopping. And then once you get through the traffic over to our side, Barham and Woodland, you've got Grace Church on the right-hand side that immediately has two entrances. Right past that, Bricks just went in. We've got two more entrances. Then you hit La Marais, and there, the two lanes we've got, one is freeway dedicated access, and the other goes past us, which is where we have the problem. So what I've actually asked Ed to do is go back and look at the whole stretch of Barham and consider dropping the whole stretch to 40, just because of the way the traffic is, and also knowing the amount of development that's going to be happening to it in the next few years.
Thank you, John. Michelle, I know Mullen and Helen will probably correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my understanding is that it's the prima, is it facie? I used to say it the wrong way. Prima facie is not actually decided by us. It's actually due to how fast people actually drive on that. So could we take a look at that and just see what we could do, if there is something we could do for consistency, or if that is not something that we could change? Because what ends up happening is, and I remember this several years ago, there was a place where people wanted us to change something based on slowing it down, and it might have been in front of your park, because I actually live off of La Marie, so we're practically neighbors. But I think it was, we couldn't do something based on the fact people were going a certain speed, because then we wouldn't even be able to ticket them, or if we did ticket them, it would end up being not able to be enforced for whatever reason. So anyway, could you just check into that and see if we could do?
Yes, absolutely. About
Okay.
16 months back, we did a speed survey throughout the city, but we can certainly go back and check that data and get back to Mr. Moshe.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, Natalie Aguilar, followed up by Maureen Walder. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Natalia Aguilar. I'm a community educator with Universidad Popular, and I'm here to provide our on-the-record updates. First is our outreach for the CalKids program. We continue to support outreach for the CalKids program and help families claim the college savings funds already set aside for their children, which can provide up to $1,500 per student. Eligibility includes all children born on or after July 1st, 2022, and California low-income or English language learner public school students in grades 1 through 12 during the 2021 through 2022 school year, as well as second graders in subsequent years. Our team will be available on an ongoing basis to support enrollment and answer questions. We encourage families to join us and take advantage of this important opportunity to invest in their children's future. I also have flyers available to hand over to City Council members. And then second is information regarding the Cesar Chavez Day of Service event. Friday, March 27th, 2026, will be our fourth time hosting the Cesar Chavez Day of Service in collaboration with CSUSM, Palomar College and Miracosta College, Restoration Abbey, the Community Action Group, and the local community. We are excited to continue hosting the Cesar Chavez Day of Service event, and I also have flyers to share. Third is an update of our community pantry. We continue to see an increased need and demand for food, housing, transportation, and other critical needs, especially among community members, elders, agricultural workers, and neighbors. Donations are always welcome at our pantry. Food items of special need include dry beans, rice, salt, oil, flour, and maseca. Fourth is our regular update on the civics program. We continue another year of the civics initiatives, which include our comprehensive citizenship classes. They are currently held Tuesdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at San Marcos Elementary on 1 Tiger Way. And then fifth is regarding energy bills. Thank you to the presentation from Clean Energy Alliance on the updates regarding charges and resources and programs available to customers. On the topic of energy, we have been receiving questions regarding utility bills and utility assistance programs. And we would like to ask whether the city knows of organizations who provide utility assistance aside from already existing programs. Thank you, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Marlene Walder.
Madam Mayor, council members, Deputy Mayor. Anyway, I'm partly talking about the traffic and partly the fire danger. I know you've said, Rebecca, that there's not, Madam Mayor, a great fire danger in our area, but
No. I definitely never said that. It's a high fire severity zone. I live in it too. I know my insurance rates, and I know it's actually said that. So I'm sorry, I don't know how you. I never said that for sure.
I brought that up a few weeks ago. Anyway, the people in our park, because if you have an older mobile home, it's even harder to get insurance for it. The housing coming in now and the increased traffic makes it exceptionally hard for fire engines to get down the road. I was there for the fire in San Marcos. I know the fire department said no, they didn't have problems. They had a lot of fire trucks there. But if Cocoa area gets housing like the 2 high-rise townhouses came in, it will create on La More an even bigger problem. It was behind the college going towards where your house is, that way. The fire went through the back property that
It was behind my back fence, yes.
Yeah.
Right behind my back fence.
And the traffic became where you couldn't get on Barham either direction, because they had to close it down. And so when we left for the fire to the college, you couldn't get back in. Anyway, we were safer to stay in our homes than we were to go to the college, honestly. But when you try to get out of our park now on La More, that's the back entrance, the cars are going so fast down that street coming from the college to take the shortcut because it's so congested on Barham, and it's faster for them to go around. The problem is they're having trouble turning right to get to the freeway because the cars that are coming from the college to get to east are blocking slightly, not much, but because the light holds yellow for a while. But the problem is that they don't stop, even though there's now a sign that says, besides the senior park, do not block entrance. And it's the freeway people who are blocking the entrance, and they never see that other sign. I want to sit out there and just take movies of how many cars block the entrance no matter what. And I have to honk at them to even get to the city council meeting today.
Thank you, Marlene.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Do we have any more? No, okay. Reports, including AB 1, 2, 3, 4 reporting requirements. Sandag, the largest discussion that we had, and it was a big one, was about managed lanes and the conversion of roads. And we talked a lot about a few different things, but I am adamantly, and still will remain very consistent, as I always have, of not approving any lanes that were built as general purpose lanes to managed lanes. There are some lanes that we have currently on the 5, for instance, that were built as an HOV lane, a managed lane, that we will be charging people to drive on because that's what they were actually built to be. But for instance, on the 78, we have 2 lanes to be built, HOV lanes. that will be in the middle of median, and those will be to charge. But just so you all know, and I think I've discussed this a few times, the current lanes that are on the 78 that are general purpose lanes, you're driving on them today. Sandag had planned on converting 2 of those lanes, one each way, to managed lanes. That's not going to happen now because your mayor has fought on that time and time again. It's not going to end up happening, but we are going to have more discussions on this. This was just the first introductory. This is where managed lanes are. This is what we're looking at. And, right now, currently, the 15 has the managed lanes, which you're paying to drive on today. And those are, in my opinion, also okay to already have because we already built them, actually, to be a managed lane. There is one set of managed lanes that were built privately owned. That was the 125 down in South County. The Sandag had to go in, well, we didn't have to, but we voted to go in and rescue those lanes because the contractor, owner of those lanes was actually going bankrupt. And so we went in, purchased those lanes. They are going to have to be, at some point in time, brought up to Caltrans standards so that they can be released back to Caltrans. And so at that point in time, my opinion would be, and it has been very consistent on that as well, that Sandag does not pay those off early or pay or release them over to Caltrans and incur a cost so that we would be using funds that we would use elsewhere in projects that we have already promised to our citizens. So that's kind of where it's at now. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a long, drawn-out discussion. That was about 3 hours, 4 hours, I think. Anyway, most of the discussion was just everyone, talking about their needs and what we want at Sandag as far as the roads versus, the managed, well, this part was the managed lanes, but also, what transit, what role that plays into it, bus-only lanes, that sort of thing. So there is more discussion that will end up happening. We didn't make any decisions or take any votes. It was just an introductory because we do have a lot of new board members down at Sandag. So anyway, next up is going to be League of California Cities, Councilmember Musgrove.
We meet next month, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to our next report, which is,
North County?
yes, North County Transit. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, the board was dark this month, and we'll meet next month.
Okay, North County Dispatch.
We meet tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then Clean Energy Alliance, Councilmember Nunez. We had our discussion, a very in-depth, detailed report.
Thank you, Greg and
Yes.
Ralph, for being here for the great presentation. We have our next board meeting this coming Thursday, February 26th at 2 p.m. at the Leucadia Wastewater District Boardroom at 1960 La Costa Avenue in Carlsbad. And I want to remind our residents that these meetings are public and you can attend in person or via Zoom. There is a Zoom option.
Okay, and next after that is council business visits. It was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
It's a fun
Want
one.
me to start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So as you can see in the photo there, the mayor and I, we visited a really neat business called Ocean Ammo, and they're off of Creek Street, which is kind of in the industrial park over there, a little bit by Craft Taco and kind of that business park area over there. And you probably kind of can't tell exactly what we're holding in our hands, but those are fish, or what are they called? Like spear guns.
Spear.
Yeah, spear guns for spear fishing. And really neat, first time I've ever held one in my hands personally. And the owners are Paul and Kelly, who are there on the picture to the right of us, or to our left, to my right. And they founded this business in 2021, and Paul has been spearfishing. He's originally, I'm going to get off the notes because I always do. He's originally from Australia, and he's been spearfishing since he was 8 years old. And so that's, he would actually go down, with no tanks and no other way, just holding his breath, and he'd come up with lobsters and halibut and all kinds of things from the ocean. And as a kid, he would bring them onto the shore, and then he would sell his catch, and that's how he kind of funded his activities and everything. And so that they started their business in Escondido, but then they about a year and a half ago they moved here to San Marcos, and we're glad to have them. You know, that passion that Paul brings from doing it from so young, and the high quality craftsmanship that they put into their products, they've quickly become the second largest spare gun manufacturer in the country, which is just amazing, right here in just little old San Marcos. And in just a few years, like I said, they've grown. They do the whole process with all the woodworking and the ink work right there in the back of their warehouse here in San Marcos. I think he said 3 or 4 employees full-time currently.
Yeah.
Although they're looking to grow, and they're looking to grow both in space and also in employees. And they create a very high quality product. They don't go that you can't buy these like in a store, so that they're not like your typical wholesaler where they would sell them to a retailer who then would sell them to you know, the individual end users who are spearfishing. You can order them directly from them online, and that helps them keep their costs down. And so they're able to, I didn't verify this, but they said that their prices are about roughly half of what their nearest competitor sells theirs for. So, and I think you're getting a little bit more of a customized type of spear gun. And yeah, it was just a really neat process. And you want to finish out the last half?
Sure. So for me, this was a really cool visit because my son happens to be a spear fisherman. And so we walked in there, and, you know, I'm kind of like a giddy kid because I'm thinking about all the things. I mean, my son, he's actually going to be 30 this next month, March, and he came to us when he was 15 and said, "Hey, Mom and Dad, I want to go spear fishing." And I'm like, "What?" And I started looking into it. I'm like, he has to hold his breath for 4 minutes while he goes down and fishes, and then has to come back up, and he's pretty far down there. And I'm thinking, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever heard. And so I said to him, "Okay, well, if you can get certified, you go and take a class and you can get certified, then you can do it. And yeah, we'll get you something to get, you know, we'll get you a spear gun," because he wanted it for Christmas. And, you know, I'm thinking that he wouldn't be able to do it. Well, that kid went out there, and his little best friend, they went out there and they got certified, and he loves it. And I sent him the pictures, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, this place looks amazing." So one of the things that you didn't share that I thought was really interesting is they have a patent pending, or I don't know if it's patent pending, but they have a very unique slide. And the slide is some sort of natural, I would say natural. I don't know. How did they put that?
He described it like an algae. Like it's a living
yeah,
organism.
living. Yeah. Anyway, so he said, you know, it's the first of its kind.
I think it was a secret.
Yeah. No, I didn't say very much.
Okay.
I just said that it's a natural kind of fiber or whatever that's in there. Anyway, it was so interesting because they said it actually. Guns that are like my son's, which is a different brand, the more famous brand, not the handcrafted ones, the ones that are made, you know, I just don't want to say their name. Yeah, mass produced. My son, by the way, has 4 of them. When used side by side, the same size, all of the same specs, that one goes the ocean ammo goes much further. Yeah, 50% further due to the fact, the nature of, and the composition of the actual slide, which I found fascinating. So we were just kind of, I don't know, I was kind of geeking out. But watching, and they can make them in a glow in the dark and all different colors. They're highly customized and also made by hand, which is really cool, made right here in the United States. And all of the parts are, you know, can withstand, a lot of them are titanium, and then also stainless, and then wood, because wood is the biggest part of it. So you can see the beauty of them right there, but a lot of them, like we said, are really handcrafted, beautiful. And so, I mean, and it's right here in San Marcos, and they do a lot of their, actually they've been on social media because they do a lot of Instagram and also TikTok videos. And that's where a lot of their customer base comes, but you can go to their door and go right in the front door, and then they can actually sit down with you, build something to your specs. And in some cases, they could actually do same-day service, which is pretty amazing, that a small business can deliver that sort of quality at that quick of a turnaround time. But anyway, really great people. And yeah, she was, I think she's from New York, and I think they met in New York. But yeah, he's an Australian native, and you know, see, he spent most of his life in the water because that was just what they do over in Australia. But really fun business visit, and the pictures don't do it justice. My son, the fins are like 3 feet long, and I mean, they just glide right down, do their thing. And he was telling a story of him going down there. It's like hunting, but doing it in the ocean. So when you love the ocean and you're just waiting, and then you see a fish, and then you spear the fish. And I mean, some of these fish, what did he say the biggest one was? Like 270 pounds or something
maybe
crazy,
bigger.
a tuna. It just really, really fascinating. So if you love the ocean and you ever wanted to spearfish and you want to go through the, get certified, because it can be dangerous. You always have to go out with a buddy, because if you let the air out too fast, you could actually, and you can also lose consciousness. So we don't want that, because it can be dangerous, but it can also be amazing. So anyway, when he was telling the story about him out there fishing, we were just like, wow, it was really cool. Anyway, all right, well, that's it. Anything else you want to add?
No?
I didn't go by the notes either.
No.
It was just, not that we don't care about the notes. We love that someone takes the time. It was just a really, really cool visit.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. All right, with that, this meeting's adjourned. Oh, council commentary. Unless anyone had council commentary, but I don't think so. Sorry, I cut us short again. I did. Were you?